in that barracks, people are probably...
Oh, the walls are sticking. Just dripping like a fucking wax candle.
That movie theater sound on the floor, like when you walk through it. That crunch.
It sounds like walking through the purple moose.
We're back.
Hey, everybody, how's it going? It has been a while.
It feels like it's been months.
I walked into our studio and it was like super hot because the doors haven't been open in so long. I had to air it out here.
We are back after a little hiatus.
I hope you guys missed us.
Yes, I hope every Wednesday you were like, why is Inappropriate not back yet?
And if you don't know, we are Baltimore's best podcast, Inappropriate with Jim and Steve. I am sitting alongside my co-host, Steve. I'm Jim. We have put out like 144 episodes, pretty much without a break. I don't know, something we kind of caught up, and I was like, hey, Steve, let's do it. And you were like, oh, I'm sick this week. I was like, all right, that's fine. Then your kid was sick.
Yeah, like everyone in my house has been sick for over 2 months now, to where it just like stopped me from being able to do anything.
And then I just bought a house that I'm renovating, and that has taken up a lot of time. Instead of just trying to rush this, why don't we actually take an official break? Let's cleanse our palates.
We don't want to give you bullshit.
That was true.
Yes.
We had that exact conversation. Like, we can meet up and we do a quick episode and put it out. But then it's like, why?
Yes. So we want to give you quality, not quantity. And quantity too, but...
I know you got a lot of shit to talk about. I've been doing a couple things the past couple weeks. Let's tell them what we got, Steve.
Jim and I are going to catch up a little bit. We're going to talk about... There's wars going on.
Shouldn't that be funny?
And it shouldn't be funny, but it is. So we got to catch up with that.
So during the break, I was able to do a couple acting things that I do want to talk about because a former podcast host joined me in one of the particular acting adventures. And I do want to get into that. But with any industry, there's scams. Mm-hmm. And if you're not careful, you can get scammed. And I think acting in that whole genre, because it's so difficult to do and get in, that I think people want to believe that, you know, everything that they see, they want to believe like everything that's shiny is gold, so they can be taken advantage of. And there's this one scam that I want to get into because normally you don't get to see the full transparency of the scam, and this one you do, and it's just hilarious.
Oh, can't wait for that.
But Steve, I heard something through the grapevine.
Yeah, I made a New Year's resolution on this show. And my New Year's resolution was to get a vasectomy.
Okay.
So I wanted to give a little follow-up where that is. I went for the consultation for a vasectomy.
And you didn't go to my doctor, who I recommend.
I didn't go to your doctor.
You didn't want the same man who had his hands on my balls on your balls.
I wanted I wanted clean hands on my balls.
Wait, what are you saying?
Yeah. So I went to the doctors. And I see my doctor's name, and it's a woman. I couldn't decide if that was a good thing or a bad thing.
One of my very intimate doctors is a woman.
Uh-huh.
And she sees everything of me.
Yeah.
When I say everything, everything.
Yes. So it was
spreads the cheeks.
Yeah. So I was like, all right, we'll see what this is. So I go to the doctors. I want to have a decent showing. Like, I know I'm going to have to drop my pants.
I think that happens to everybody. At least that moment of, I don't want to be shriveled anyway. Like, I don't want to be like, it's cold in here, Doc.
Yes. And it's cold in the room.
It is. Oh, it certainly is.
So I'm sitting in the chair, and I'm trying to just adjust my pants to make sure I feel like I have a good showing. Like, I'm not like...
You're not chubbing it up.
I'm not chubbing it up, but I'm just
not
making
looking
sure
at the magazine on melanoma.
Yeah, I'm making sure it's laying right. I'm trying to make sure, you know, when the deed happens, it's gonna be okay. The doctor comes in. It's an old woman.
She's seen more dicks than you can shake a stick at.
Yes. She starts talking to me about, like what happens, after you have the vasectomy, you got to clean the pipes out about 20 or 30 times. Mm-hmm. Then you come back with a sample to make sure that you don't have any more swimmers.
You mean to tell me that once the tunnel gets closed, I got 20 to 30 ejaculations that the swimmers that made it past the finish line before it got
they're
closed?
just hanging out in there.
Like 20 to 30?
Yeah, it seems an excessive amount.
And I put some of that on my wife. Like, I need help.
I mean, because it's a lot. That seems like a
Now,
lot.
if I was 18, pop that off in a weekend.
Yeah, I know. Now I'm in my 40s. I'm like, oh, that's
a year's worth of shit.
That's excessive. She says, pull down your underwear. So I pull down my underwear. So there I am, exposed to this lady. So she gets the gloves on and then starts doing the exam. So while she's doing the exam, she starts saying to me, oh, you live in this town of Maryland. And your last name is, and then she says my last name. She's like, I thought all the people with that last name have red hair. And I said, what? I was like, what? And she's just like, checking, make sure all my tubes are there. And she said, do you know Dan? And then I say, that's my uncle. And then she's like, oh, do you know Steve? And I was like, that's my dad. So this woman knows my whole family. So while she's like,
I could recognize that dick anyway.
Yeah, that's what I kept thinking. And I was just like, she's just going around touching everything and just talking to me about my family. And I could feel my genitalia, how it was hanging. It was just like, I could feel it collapsing like a house of cards. But yes, I have a date in 2025.
When's that date?
February.
Oh, okay. So you got a little ways.
Yes.
Did she give you, all the possible scenarios, like what possibly could happen afterwards? Or was it all all good?
I think it was all sunshines and rainbows. Why? Is there a whole bunch of stuff?
Before I got mine, I thought I was going to be walking around. Somebody's going to have to, my wife's going to have to push me around in a wheelchair. It was just going to be fucking agony and chaos for a week. And the ice pack on the balls. None of that. She did
say I have to wear a jock strap. Out of there.
I can't remember if maybe they give you one, or I don't know. But that wasn't. Maybe I did tighty whities or something.
She did tell me she probably had some kid ones laying around that she could use.
Maybe I bought a pair of tighty whities or something. The day it got done, I'm sitting on my couch and I put the bag of peas there, but I didn't really need it. Do you know what I mean? Like you feel sore, but it's not like crazy.
Yeah.
And I think they give you a little bit of medication or maybe some stronger Tylenol or something. And then like a week later, I healed up for the most part. Like I think I got back in the gym and doing normal shit. And they say, oh, you're in 2 weeks or 3 weeks, whatever. You're fine. You're healed up. You can go back to having sex and doing other things. They don't tell you that you do heal up, but like at 85%. And then there's like this weird 15% that just kind of lingers. And then you don't feel it until
that moment happens.
Let me say, okay, when you're having sex and the balls are slap, right? They're swinging, right? They're violently, and then you like, ooh, like you get that weird pain when like they move, like maybe you're running or jumping or something, but most time you feel it like during sex. So and then you're like, is this gonna be here forever? Like, because it doesn't go away.
Because you're like, is this my new life?
And some people, it never goes away.
Oh.
And that's the thing. But if they just told everybody, you're going to heal about 85%, but that other 15% is probably going to take 6 to 8 to 9 months for it to like, and it doesn't like here one day, gone the next.
Yeah.
It just slowly goes away until you may think about it and you're like, oh, it doesn't hurt anymore. You know what I mean? But
yeah.
So if you're in the mood for a vasectomy and your doctor doesn't give you all that, when you look online because you're like, man, I should be healed up. It's been 2 months. it'll scare the shit out of you.
It'll say you have cancer.
It'll tell you everything, and then you get these horror stories because nobody goes online and says, "Oh, I had a vasectomy, it went fine, and now I'm off doing my life." Only people that comment and give you the stories are the extreme cases, right? You know, but there might be 1,000 extreme cases, but they're all right there, and you're like, "Oh fuck, this is more common than, you know."
Yeah.
And there'll be people that will say, I have constant aches now. Like it hurts every day.
Oh.
My balls are swollen. My this or that. I'm just gonna tell you, you'll be fine. And then that last 15%, it's just gonna take a while. Don't wait, because it really isn't a big deal. I think I've talked about this on prior. I was pants down to pants up in 17 minutes.
Oh yeah.
Like it literally was nothing.
Did you drive yourself? Because they told me I couldn't drive.
No, Nicole dropped me off, and then she went shopping. And the shopping center was like 7-8 minutes away. Yeah. And I called her like 10 minutes after, and she got pissed that she had to come back and get me so soon. I'm like, sorry.
Yeah.
Know? But it was so quick. It was painless.
I'm looking forward to it. You have been busy.
I have. So aside from the rehab that I've been doing, and I've really been balls deep in that. That was a balls joke.
Yeah.
So I had 2 acting gigs. One, you may see me on TV. You probably won't, but it's my first. I don't really want to say the show or anything because obviously they could cut it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's like the worst thing for an actor. Like, hey, everybody go watch this. And then it's not there. But it was my first TV thing, which will be on a major cable network, season 2 of a show. And if it happens after it comes out, which probably is a couple months.
God, I was hoping you were like a child predator on SVU or something.
No. And it was weird because I didn't know. I auditioned for one role, and it's like several different episodes that don't correlate to one another. They're individual episodes, but make up the season. And so I auditioned for this one particular role, and the casting director emailed me back a couple of days later and was like, we wanted somebody like heavier set for this particular role, but we do like you, and would you be interested in this other role? And I was like, I don't, it's all the fucking same to me, and I don't care. So I was like, yeah, that's fine. So it filmed down in DC. It might be 3 seconds of TV time.
Do you talk at all?
No.
Okay.
I don't.
Okay.
I really can't get into it. Legally.
I didn't know if you had speaking roles, but
no, it's just FaceTime.
Okay,
but I did have a speaking role in this other short film. I read a lot of scripts. Most of them are shit. Most of them are shit. And I read this one. When I read it, I was like, this is funny. Mm-hmm. And very rarely am I like, wow, this is fucking cool. But this one, I was like, this is actually funny. And there's 3 characters in it. And I've posted online. If you follow me on Instagram, you've seen some behind the scenes on it. If not, at what the hell is my Instagram? Well, you can go to Inappropriate with Jim and Steve. Follow us on that on Instagram. But then jump over to. I wish I knew my fucking own Instagram.
Isn't it like your?
Yeah, your Boyd. At your Boyd James.
Yeah. I wasn't gonna say.
Yeah, I was like, your Boyd James. Anyway, so I auditioned for the role and I got it. And then I thought, I did a short film with you, and you can follow that studio at Flix on Instagram. I think that one's coming out soon. But anyway, so I emailed the director because the 2 characters are supposed to be like longtime friends, and although they butt heads a lot. And I was like, I got this buddy, Joe, and he's not an actor, but I think he would be good. Like our rapport might overshine the fact that he hasn't done anything. And the guy was like, if you guys, if you want to audition, you know, together, and I could see it. I was like, okay, fine. So Joe came over one night and we did an audition, sent it back. And long story short, we got it. The biggest thing you have to do is know your lines. I don't know how long it's actually going to be, but I think it was probably 12 pages of script, and we have all 12. Like it's just us.
I remember when you and I did the other thing, we would practice before we would record the podcast, like building up to it. Like you and I would just go through it for just a couple minutes before each time. And then I would read it on my own, and it wasn't very many lines, but it's tough. It's tough to remember all that shit.
Yes. We had some rehearsals on Zoom with, with the director and the other actor. And then Joe and I did a couple things together. I'm like, Joe, do you know him? Do you know your lines? Oh, I got him. I said, Joe, and we're on Zoom.
Yeah.
I said, Joe, put the page down and then let's just see how far we get. I said the first line and Joe stares at me with a deer in headlights. He didn't know his first line. The first word. He knew nothing. And I was like, Joe, it's remarkably harder on set. So
what did he say to that?
He was like, I gotta learn them. and you can't not know the lines. So to Joe's credit, he buckles down and starts learning. When I think I know the lines and I'm sitting on my couch, that's not enough. Because there's so many things, like, as you know, when you get on set, there's lights everywhere. There's cameras. There's 20, 30 people standing behind staring at you. And then you got to go. Like, you got to perform. Once I learn my lines, I go driving. I turn up the music as loud as I can get it within reason.
Yeah.
And I say my lines out loud. So I have the distraction of the radio. I have the distraction of driving. And if I can say my lines while I'm doing that, I know I got them. That's like the point that I know I got. Anything short of that, I don't. So anyway, filming day. Everybody's setting up, and the director comes over and was like, "You guys good?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm good." And he's like, "Why don't we just run through the first scene?" So we're like, "All right, it's kind of like a dress rehearsal. Like, we are actually dressed. We're on set.
Yeah,
we're
just to get into like the blocking and stuff like that.
With the there you go with some fucking words with the blocking.
I was in school theater, so
we get in our ones.
Uh-huh.
If anybody knows what that is, which is what your first spot.
Yeah.
Anyway, he says, "All right, go." I say my line. Joe looks at me, and we're waiting, and he goes, "Oh my God. It's exactly how you said it was going to be. I'm drawing a blank." He didn't get his first line.
Fucking froze.
To Joe's credit, he loosened up, and he did a remarkable job.
You are nervous because you're on the spot right there.
Oh,
so
100%. With this particular one, because it was outside in Maryland in November, and it was a night shoot. We were filming from 7 to 2 to 3 a.m. like for 3 nights.
Yeah. And Joe likes his sleep.
Oh, I sent you the picture.
Yeah,
Joe asleep on the.
Yes.
Before every action, we had this fog. So the fog machine guy goes, blows everything. Then there's like another guy that comes over and fans it to kind of break up the fog. Yeah. And then you got the sound rolling. Then it's the camera speeding. And then the director says, action. So if you fuck it up, all that has to start over.
Yes.
The fall guy has to go. The other guys that wave have to go. Like, everything has to go again.
I can imagine the feeling he had inside, like that moment when it was like, oh shit, it's about to happen.
It was like 1:00 in the morning, I think. Joe and I are sitting down. We're like on this break. We're rehearsing lines. And like we're like getting into it.
Yeah.
And it's a weird thing about rehearsing. You do it like 10, 15 times, and like somewhere on like the 17th time, all of a sudden you say something different. You enunciate something different, you pause, and then it just hits you like, yeah, that's how we're gonna do it. You know, like, and it's like, oh wow. But like if you don't rehearse enough, like those little tiny things don't hit you. But anyway, so Joe's into it, we're rehearsing, we're like now in it. And then like we stop the scene. I look at my phone like for like 20 seconds. I look up and Joe's out. I mean, it was less than 20 seconds later. He is gone. Like he is snoring face down. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Nobody can fall asleep that fast. Like we were just talking.
Oh, it is his ability to fall asleep is remarkable. If you ever go back and listen to the Jim Joe Steve show, some of our older episodes, there are points where we would have to pause the podcast to be like, Joe, wake up.
Some of the later episodes of the Jim Joe Steve show.
Yes, towards the tail end.
Where Joe was sort of checking out, but didn't fully check out.
Yes.
But he wouldn't show up to do the podcast. He'd show up because he made a commitment to the podcast. If
Yes.
that makes sense.
Yes. We would say, "What do you have?" He's like, "I'm the funny guy."
Yeah, I brought myself.
Yeah. I got quibs.
Joe, so you're invited back, Joe.
Yeah, all the time, Joe. But, so it does sound like it went good. So
It was good. And actually, this one, however it turns out, good, bad, indifferent, it will be out like in middle December. So I think hopefully he'll put it up on like some type of free service, YouTube, or it gives me a link, and I will be able to just finally share
good.
like a finished something for people. So that's what we've been up to.
We've been up to a lot, and so has the rest of the world. If you're not familiar, Jim, there is a war right now going on in Ukraine.
I have heard.
Yeah, and it's between the Ukrainians and the Russians. The part of it I want to go into is now Russia has started to take on soldiers from different countries. Because I guess he's like, they're like,
Is he running out of his own
I
soldiers?
guess he's running out of his own people.
I don't typically stay up to date on a lot of the negativity in the world because you can go down a rabbit hole.
Yes.
I kind of like to stay blissfully ignorant to a certain degree.
Yeah, and that's kind of like how I like to go about it. But whenever I see something funny,
If it stands out.
if it stands out to me, and this is what stood out to me, Russia has decided to bring in North Korean soldiers. What happens is they are now they have access to the internet.
Oh, that's right, because North Korea, they don't have internet.
North Korea doesn't have the internet. They have their own version, I guess, of it that's highly regulated. They're having issues with them because they have been gorging themselves on porn.
Of course.
I was going to give you a guess, but I was like, there's no point even guessing because
It's funny because it doesn't eventually lead to porn. It starts with porn.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
you give somebody access to the internet, they're not going to like venture down the long hallway of the internet to end up on a porn site. It's the first search.
Yes. And I feel like Russian people are probably like, look at this fucking guy from North Korea. He's never had the internet before.
And then
What should we show him?
Right.
The first thing you're going to show
E-fucks.
you're going to show them some fucking thing that they have never been.
like a naked blonde chick would be the first thing I think I would.
Yes.
Because they don't see any of that.
So they've had to where they've had to take away some of their devices because they can't get them to pay attention. Like they're in a war and they can't fight because they're too busy looking at Live Jasmine.
And that's funny because then they'd be like, why are we fighting everybody? Look at this. We don't need to be fighting.
Yeah, you have this.
Right. Like, what are you fighting over?
So they have been going to porn sites nonstop and just watching porn all the time.
They're never going back to North Korea.
That's what I'm thinking. Like,
They're going to commit suicide if they have to get sent back.
if you see this they dangle the carrot in front of you and they say, this is what the rest of the world's like. And they're in the middle of a fucking war, but I feel like they're like, we have famines in North Korea and we have MREs here and you have this porn.
Unlimited vodka.
Yeah, you have unlimited vodka and you have porn. Like, what else? Why are you fighting?
It's almost dangerous because if Russia needs to, they could take the porn away and say, you don't get your porn until you get 10 kills.
yeah. Like every day they work towards watching.
Right.
Going to
That's the
YouPorn.
reward system.
Yeah.
That's insane.
In that barracks, people are probably
Oh, the walls are sticking. Just dripping like a fucking wax candle.
movie theater sound on the floor, like when you walk through it. That
It
crunch.
sounds like walking through the purple moose. Wouldn't it be just the most insane plot twist if when they went back home, they overtook
Yeah,
Kim
like overtook
Jong,
the
you know what I mean?
government.
Yeah, and like did away with him.
They're just like, we got porn.
It's almost like, you know how the Amish, sometimes there's a straggler that leaves because like the Amish I think they get like a week.
Yeah, they get like
to go
a
out
sabbatical.
They get to go out and to do all the technology things, and then someone just don't come back because they're like, "Oh, this shit's too good."
Yeah,
and that's going to be what's happening.
Probably what's going to happen in North Korea.
And an odd thing about parlay this into the Amish, but how like the Amish don't have electricity and things that they don't use the technology.
Yeah,
there's a workaround because there's some that obviously do construction, and they're allowed to use like bobcats and things as long as it's not theirs.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So if they borrow it from somebody, that's so funny.
So some of them will show up on the site and then they'll be there, and they know how to work them. You know what I mean? Like
they that's so funny that they know exactly how to do it because they've used it so many times.
Right.
As long as they don't own it,
correct,
it's okay.
Yes.
That is so that's so funny.
And
It's
like their boom boxes. You ever seen the boom boxes on the
crank?
I think it's batteries. I think they're allowed to use batteries or something. Like it's a really
I like
weird,
how they just make exceptions.
Yeah.
Like it's
like a girl saying "fuck me in the ass" because I'm going to stay a virgin. Like you know what I mean? Like it's not. No, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
Like,
it's BYU soaking, where they just put the penis in and they don't move it and it doesn't count.
Right. Like how
it's
does
just
that not count?
Yeah, it's a technicality. Like
And that's the weird thing about religions.
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like it's all. It's not like 99% of the people don't follow. They follow it as long as they can get these little loopholes. It's like if you want to find every loophole, just don't do it.
Yeah.
Right? Don't kill yourself over needing to go through these loopholes.
I always
find a way around it.
Yeah, I always feel like if the masses are doing something else that seem way better, you might want to check yourself because you might be you might be standing on the wrong side of the line there.
Yeah, just do what the fuck you want to do.
Yeah. To think that it was so bad, like the Amish are like, we got to give them a little bit of freedom. Because if you don't give them a little bit of freedom, they're going to revolt. So let them go out, let them explore, let them go bowling like in Kingpin, and then if they come back, they come back. I would like to see the numbers of people that come back versus don't come back.
I would like to see those numbers over time.
Yeah.
Like back in the day.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And then now, because now there's such a huge difference between the Amish and non-Amish. Like back in the day, it was a little bit less because the technology wasn't there. And like now you put on a pair of VR glasses or something. You know what I mean? And people are like, what the fuck's going on?
Because all their clothes look uncomfortable all the time.
And why do their beards look so shitty?
Yeah, if they pride themselves on their beard, you know why? It's because they don't do don't they not do
They
the
don't
mustache?
do the face. Like it's only from like the
it's like the chin strap.
Yeah, that just grows.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
It looks like shit. Did you ever watch the Amish Mafia show?
No, because that looks so fake to me.
Yes. When you watch it, you're just like, what the fuck is going on?
That's what I felt like it was.
But they could use guns, I guess, if they borrowed somebody else's gun. So
here's a question. Not with the Amish, but with the Jehovah's Witnesses. I guess we're on a whole religion kick.
Yeah.
So there's a Jehovah's Witness church up the street from me. It's for sale. But I heard of this before, and I haven't got any answers. But all Jehovah Witnesses church, I don't know where the S's go on that, but they have to block up all the windows.
Really?
Yes. They're not allowed to have any windows in their churches.
Why?
I don't know. That's the whole thing. I don't know why that happens. But when they were converting this back to be for sale, I noticed, because I never paid much attention to it, they took all the things off the windows because it was like boarded up on the outside, like a nice looking board, but like, so you didn't really know that there was a window there. But now there's windows all over the building. And I'm like, and then I heard somebody say, oh yeah, there's no windows on those churches. And I thought, what's the reason for that?
Yeah.
And I don't know. Like,
they just like it to be fucking
Oh,
dark.
by the way, I would find out, but our fucking intern quit. So over the last 4 weeks, we lost our intern. So we hope that by the next episode, we will have another intern that we can actually get real-time information. But right now, we don't have it. But if you wanted to be an intern, reach us.
Yeah.
Inappropriate Jim and Steve on Facebook or Instagram. All right, everybody. So thanks for hanging out. And if you waited for us, appreciate it. Come again next week. We will be back next week.
We will be back next week.
Can't guarantee the week after that. But next week
we're good.
We will be back. I'm starting to get in the Christmas spirit. I think the next couple episodes, we're going to get more Christmassy.
Why not?
All right, everybody. Thanks for hanging out with Baltimore's best podcast, Inappropriate. I'm Jim.
And I'm Steve.
We will see you next week.
See you next week.
Yo, stand up, we gon' make some moves tonight. Yeah, stand up, got something to prove tonight. So stand up, we ain't gonna plan tonight. We gonna take action on our dreams and fight, alright. We ain't gonna stall, never stop. We gon' make it all to the top. We ain't gonna plan tonight. We gonna take action on our dreams and fight, alright. Yeah, I'ma stand up, take control tonight. Spend too much time on the plan, it's right. It's time to execute now on your dream in life. Gotta fail fast, learn, try again and fight, alright. Pull the trigger, 6-7 figures. Making that money from the drive that's in ya. Gold digger, making money quicker. Pain is good, make your skin a little thicker. It ain't